What's up, y'all? Was hoping to shoot this outside because that's my favorite place to do things, and it is cold, and I was sitting on the concrete, and that just was not going to happen. I was actually having a hard time talking because my lips were so cold. So I think this is the first video that we're putting out this year, except for some of the podcasts that we've shot, and we haven't released the ones that we've shot since the first of the year. So Happy New Year, welcome to 2019. We wanted to wait and put this video out a few days after the first of the year to get through the craziness of it. And so what this video is about, it's about setting goals for the next year, right? And trying to implement some new habits and routines. And in previous years, we kind of had this mentality of being against New Year's resolutions because we kind of felt like, people should be trying to do the right thing all the time. And any time of the year is a good time to reassess your goals and try to do better. But the reality is, and this is after reading some books here recently and just a lot of the people that I follow and admire, we've just kind of come to this consensus that, end of the year is a really difficult time for a lot of people. I mean, it's a supposedly an enjoyable and festive time, but for a lot of people, it's kind of high stress. You spend a lot of money, you have a lot of indulgences, and if you're going to fall off at any point in the year, and falling off means falling off on your nutrition or falling off on your fitness routine or whatever that is, that's usually going to happen during that holiday season towards the end of the year between Thanksgiving and New Year's. So why not use the first of the year as an opportunity to sit down and reassess your goals and think about what you want and try to create some new habits? I mean, I think it's almost like having a clean, fresh slate. It feels like picking up and moving somewhere different. You got this new year ahead of you, and possibilities are open and endless, and why not go for it? So that's our attitude now. Like we let's do some goal setting. Let's think about this kind of stuff because why not, right? Now, if you're the kind of person that is not a goal setting kind of person, which we totally get that, right? If you don't set some goals or think about the things that you want, then guaranteed nothing is going to change. I mean, you may have some good things fall into your lap, but the chances of that are slim to none, right? And I think the reason that a lot of us don't like to set goals is number one, we're really comfortable with where we are. Even if we're not very happy with where we are, like we're comfortable with our routines, right? Setting goals takes some time to sit down and think about things. And that takes a little work. And that is a little bit challenging and difficult for some people. And then, the activities and things that we need to implement to achieve those goals, just thinking about those things, I think for some people brings up a little bit of anxiety. But here's one way to look at it, right? If I sit down and think about what I want and try to come up with an action plan or try to implement some different strategies to get there, then guaranteed some good things are going to come from that, right? Even if I don't achieve the thing that I'm looking for, I'm going to move in a positive direction and I'm going to evolve, and I'm probably going to change the things that I want. That's the beauty of goal setting, is that it doesn't have to be super rigid, right? You have an idea of what you want in your mind, you start to move towards it, and then as you gain clarity through your experiences and through your, your feedback, you can change course and maybe you come up with some new goals or something like that, right? But if you don't sit down and if you don't come up with goals and if you don't go for something, then guaranteed nothing is going to happen. So I challenge you to sit down and at least take the time to think about this kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is go through a very simplified process that we've put together. I've used it with private clients. We've done it in some group seminars and workshops, and it works really well. And I've tried to incorporate some information that I've just got from this book that I've read called Atomic Habits, which is amazing. We're going to link to it in the notes to this and the resources. So what we'll do is we'll go through some information at the end. We're going to tie it all together and give you like a summary of the steps to do. And it's pretty simple and it works and it's great. And you can take it and use it this weekend and block out a few hours and just really make some magic happen. Okay. All right. So first thing to understand is that habit change and routine change is identity change. All right. We're comfortable with where we're at. We want to get to somewhere different. We have this vision or this version of a person of us in the future that we want to be or that we wish we were. And it's different from where we are now. And that's just the reality of the situation, right? But what I loved about this book, Atomic Habits, was this guy broke it down into looking at these as two different candidates. And on a daily basis, your decisions and your actions are casting votes for one or the other candidate, right? I love that. Just understanding that little concept right there has changed the way that I approach a lot of my decisions. All right, so if I come up to a juncture and I need to make a decision and I should or should not go for something, well, I have to decide, like, which of these things is going to cast the vote for which of the candidates that I want. That makes sense, okay? All right, so I think that's just a good way to look at things. You have this new identity that you want to move towards. You have the identity that you are now. There's nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. It's great. You're awesome in every way, but you can be better, and so you want to be here. And every decision, every action you take is casting a vote for one of those two different candidates, right? Now, to start the goal setting process, you need to sit down with a blank sheet of paper. We have a PDF template for most of these handouts that we're going to reference right now. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to break your life up into life categories, or areas that you want to improve, or areas that you want to cultivate some habits and routines in, all right? So if I had to make a suggestion, I would say focus on our top 4, and that would be real food, sleep, fitness, and then having a morning process where you precipitate your intention on the day, all right? Those are the big 4. Those are going to give you the biggest bang for buck as far as making you feel better and seeing the improvements that you want. But some people, may find it more beneficial to implement like something around the financial piece or something, or maybe relationship or your family situation. I don't know. All right. So when you have those different areas laid out, and you have these different boxes for these different areas, you want to think about what it is that you want to achieve in those different areas, right? What are the habits that you'd like to cultivate, or what are some goals that you'd like to achieve in those different areas? And there's no right or wrong as far as this goes. Like, this is just kind of brainstorming. What is it that you really want as far as real food goes? What is it that you want to accomplish, with fitness? And then once you figure out what those different areas are and you come up with some goals, we want to think about what are the activities that I need to implement to get me to that end result, right? So, in the past, we've talked a lot about conscious mind, unconscious mind, and seeing end result and seeing that very clearly, and that helps the unconscious mind move you in that direction. But really what gets us to that end goal is going to be some kind of activity, right? So let's just say that I have an end goal of getting 6 pull-ups in a row. Well, first of all, that's not going to be an end goal. Like, you're going to get the 6 pull-ups and then you're going to want to do something else, but maybe it's a temporary goal, right? But to get to those 6 pull-ups, I'm not just doing 6 pull-ups every day. I have some activities that are going to facilitate me getting 6 pull-ups. And so you want to think in terms of what are the activities or action steps that I need to take to get to that end goal. If my goal is to lose some body fat, I can't just fixate on losing the body fat. I have to think about what are the activities that I need to implement to get me in the direction of losing that body fat, which of course is going to include real food and fitness and hopefully sleep and some other things, right? So there's a difference between end goal and goals, and then the activities that you need to implement to get there. So I would definitely, within those life categories, think about what is it that I want, and then what are the activities, the habits, the routines that ideally I would have in place to get me there, okay? Then I found this so beneficial over the past year with my private clients. You want to map out an ideal day, all right? And that is basically taking a sheet of paper, and we have a resource for this too, and you have that sheet of paper lined out hour by hour for a day. And you're gonna include in that sheet of paper all your different obligations that you have, your work responsibilities, your family obligations, and then you want to squeeze in the habits or the routines that ideally this new candidate wants to have in place, okay? So, for me, it's like I get up at 3:30, I have that on my little ideal day, I have a CrossFit workout at 5, I have a walk about 6:30, I have a meditation at 7:30, I have my content creation from about 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, so I have my day mapped out as far as what an ideal day looks like. And as soon as I map that out, like, I felt a sense of relief, because it's like I know what I'm trying to achieve on a daily basis, right? And that, of course, factors in other obligations and responsibilities. And so maybe that process will help you figure out, maybe I'm trying to do too much at once. Maybe I just need to focus on one thing because I have so many other obligations and responsibilities that I can only focus on one thing right now. So I think that process of mapping out an ideal day is awesome. And then you want to start small with your different habits and routines. You want to start small and cast small, tiny votes for the candidate that you want, right? So if your goal is to go to the gym, it might be too crazy and too lofty for you to say to yourself, I'm going to join you're not working out right now. I'm going to join a CrossFit gym and work out for an hour a day, 5 days a week, right? It's a great goal. Some people could commit to that and stick with it and be fine. But if my goal my goal is to have lifelong habit implementation, then what we see in the literature, what we see in the research, what we saw from this book, Atomic Habits, is that if I can do something very, very small and commit to that on a daily basis until that becomes habit and routine, then it's easier within that habit and routine to add to it and improve it, right? So if my goal is to implement a fitness routine, I could say I want to go join a CrossFit gym and work out for an hour 5 days a week, but maybe what is the thing that has to happen before that, right? In order to get to that gym class hour, I have to have my workout clothes ready. So maybe my initial goal, a small step that I can do every single day no matter what, is lay out my workout clothes and get my workout water bottle and my little backpack or whatever it is that I carry my stuff in, have that ready before I go to bed. I can commit to that every single day. And if I commit to that every single day at an unconscious level, it's natural for me to take the next step, right? So the next step might be getting up every morning at the right time to make sure that I make it to the workout, right? And so without me even going to the workout, if I make myself pack my stuff the night before, get up at the right time in the morning, and maybe I go for a short walk initially, I'm cultivating the habit, I'm cultivating the routine of getting ready for that session, and it's much easier to commit to that once I have the habit implemented of just getting ready and getting up. All right, so that's just one example. Another example might be, if I want to get my nutrition dialed in, what is the first thing that has to happen? A lot of people embark on this journey of like, I'm going to eat really clean for the year or something like that, right? Well, first of all, most people don't know how to eat, so maybe you need to reach out to a resource like us and figure out how to eat. We're going to talk just a little bit at the end about like some of the classes that we have coming up. But maybe your first initial step there is, even just based on what you think maybe your first initial step is to go grocery shopping 2 or 3 days a week, right? Because if you go grocery shopping 2 or 3 days a week, then you have the food at home, and then that's going to lend itself to facilitate you making your own home prep meals or something. Maybe your first initial goal is to learn from someone like us or to get a specific book. Maybe you've heard about the paleo movement or the low carb movement or the keto movement, and you want to read a book, and so maybe that's your first step, right? Maybe your first step is within the realm of what you think is healthy. Maybe your goal is to just make home prep meals. And so that would be a great initial first step versus like if you're always eating on the go, eating fast food and going to restaurants. Making home prep meals all the time could be a simple initial goal, and then maybe your goal after that would be to learn what the right foods are. Because chances are if you're doing home prep meals, it's going to be a heck of a lot better than eating out, right? So start small, think about what are the action steps necessary for me to get to where I want to be, and then what are the first part of those steps that I can cultivate a habit with that will make it easier for me to actually implement the bigger habits or the bigger routines, right? If you master the art of showing up, if you master the art of getting ready, if you master the art of, prepping yourself to get ready to go somewhere, then it's much easier within that to improve the habit and to improve the routine, right? Something else that came up that I thought was really beneficial was understanding that you need to fall in love with your routine. It's okay for it to be the same thing every day. Some people go through a boredom phase and they feel like they need to change things or mix things up. And what we'd say is that habits and routines are great because they get to be very, very comfortable. And then within that habit or routine, you have the ability to master it, So I think about my CrossFit workouts. Initially, I just had to get into the habit of showing up. And I remember that was a struggle in the beginning. I had to fight. I had to have conversations with myself to get up and make myself go to the gym. Now that that's a habit, my goal is within that habit to start to see incremental improvements. So now my goal is when I'm in the workout, I'm doing my best to have perfect form, or maybe I'm trying to push the intensity. So it's like within a habit that's been cultivated, you then have the ability to master that habit and to see incremental improvements within that habit, okay? You also want to try to fall in love with the process, okay? It's like a conundrum, but the things that are good for us usually don't give us immediate benefit, or not as much immediate benefit as some of the things that are bad for us, right? So if I eat something that is off plan, like a donut or a cookie that's just like freaking awesome, right? I get some immediate pleasure in the beginning, but if I do that over the long term, day after day, then that's going to be detrimental to my health goals, right? And contrast that with if I work out, the workout is difficult, it's challenging, it's painful, and so I don't get that immediate gratification in the moment, but I do get gratification over the long term because I start to see some of the benefits that come from that. Same thing with food. I mean, eating real food is amazing, right? But the work that goes into prepping the meal and sitting down, and maybe it's not as enjoyable as some of the treats that we used to be used to. But there's a longer term payoff, right? So what we want to do is try to find something in the present moment that we can fall in love with. So for instance, if working out is difficult, first of all, once you start to see some of the benefits from working out, you start to fall in love with working out because you know what it's going to do for you. But in the beginning, maybe you're falling in love with the presence of other people and the friendships that you have and the community that you're cultivating with that, right? Maybe within that moment, you're also thinking about that person that you want to become, and you know that what you're doing in the moment is helping to facilitate becoming that new person. When it comes to eating real food, maybe instead of thinking about how much you miss the other foods that you like, fall in love with the process of cooking. And that will help you bring some benefits, some great things into the present moment. And then of course, again, you can use tomorrow for today and think about that person that you want to be over the long term and how what you're doing in this moment is going to facilitate that. And then all it takes is just to see a little bit of progress with the food, with the fitness, with the sleep, with whatever it is that you're trying to implement. And then as soon as you start to see that progress, it starts to get addictive. And then you're like, okay, now I can stick with this because I want to hold on to this. I don't want to lose this. We have a really good video that we'll link to that we did years ago. It's called Using Tomorrow for Today. And it's thinking about like, how is this decision that I'm making right now going to affect my tomorrow? And that helps me make a better decision in the moment. So I think that's a really good kind of thought process and flow. And we're going to summarize this in a moment. But here's a few other things to consider, right? Self-talk. And I have to pay attention to this with myself. I feel like I'm really good about it with most things, but I've caught myself here recently. When you say something like, I'm not an athlete, I'm not good at working out. Well, you're casting votes for a certain candidate. And when you get into that moment of needing to do the workout or, whatever the activity is that's going to move you in that direction, you're going to be resistant to it because you're building up this identity associated with the thing that you don't want, right? Just like if I'm saying, which I say this all the time and I'm trying to change it now, like I'm not good at admin stuff. I'm not good with my finances. Well, of course I'm not, because I'm telling myself that all the time. So what you want to do is start to change your self-talk, and you want to change the conversation that you're having in your head, and you want to start to cast these small little votes in the direction of this new candidate that you want to become, right? I think it's also really beneficial to learn to say no more often and to create space, because it's out of the space that we can cultivate these things that we want to bring into our life. This is a big theme that came up for me over this past year with myself and with people that I'm working with, is that we have to have space, right? We have to learn to say no and not say yes. For me personally, I love to spend time with other people. It's part of my day. It's part of my weekends, part of my evenings a lot of times. But I enjoy it so much that sometimes it can take me away from my responsibilities of being this healthy, vibrant leader, right? So maybe I'll go out and meet friends on the weekend a couple of nights or one night. But if I start to let that kind of leak into the week, then I start to see my days become suboptimal. So I've had to learn to say no and kind of push things back a little bit and create some space so that I can become the person that I want to be, or improve myself to some degree, right? And then finally, I think it's extremely beneficial to think in terms of making yourself a priority, all right? I had a lot of conversations about this recently with clients, with groups, and then with people that I'm really close to. You have to learn to make yourself a priority, because you are the thing that makes this whole thing work, right? So many of us are so used to doing for others and having all these responsibilities that are outside of ourselves that we fail to take care of ourselves. And we need to understand that a better us is better for everyone else in the world that we're interacting with. It's better for all the causes that we care about. And so there is nothing that's more important and more beneficial than you taking the time to make time for yourself and to improve yourself and to do these things that you feel like are going to be necessary for you to become the person that you want to be, right? So sometimes as we implement some of these new goals, a lot of us are thinking in terms of, compromising, like if I do this for myself, how is that going to impact, what my family responsibilities are, my work responsibilities? And we'd say, it's just, you need to change your mindset and understand that you have to make yourself a priority so that you can show up better in the rest of your life, right? All right, so here's a summary of everything that we just went through. And again, the summary is going to be in the post, and we're going to have little PDFs associated with each one of these. We think they're really beneficial. We've used them. They're great. All right. So number one, remember and understand this concept. Keep this in the back of your mind. The person that you want to become is an identity change. All right. And now you have two different candidates that you need to be casting votes for on a daily basis. You got the new person, and you got the person that you are now, which the person that you are now is beautiful and awesome and amazing, but you can be better. And you have this better version of yourself. And every decision, every action is a vote for one of those two candidates. Okay. So number one, break your life up into life categories. All right. So we have a PDF downloadable handout that you can use for that. Right. We consider or we'd recommend considering our big four, which is going to be real food, sleep, fitness, and then having a morning process. And you can also throw some other things in there. Think about what it is that you want in those areas, what you want to become, what you want to achieve. What are the activities that you need to get there? Okay. Again, we have downloadable PDFs, worksheets for each one of these. Map out an ideal day. What does an ideal day look like for this new candidate? What is this awesome, amazing person that's got it all put together and is doing all these different things? What does that day look like? And when you're mapping out that ideal day, of course, you have to factor in your responsibilities, your family situation, and that might dictate how much you can attempt in the beginning. Okay. Start with the first thing that has to be done to create the habit. Start small, start to cast these small votes for that new candidate. And that means maybe not jumping fully into some kind of crazy routine, but more thinking about what are the little initial action steps that I need to implement or make habit in order for me to facilitate myself doing those things that I want to do. All right. And then fall in love with the process of bringing the long-term rewards into that present moment activity, even if that present moment activity doesn't seem like the most beautiful and amazing thing in the world. All right. Find some way to enjoy the process of what you're doing, because what you're doing is going to facilitate this new candidate, this new person that you're going to see down the road. Okay. All right. So pretty simple 6-step process. We got PDFs associated with each one of those, and let us know how all that goes. Now, got to make a shameless plug for what we got going on this year, because what we have going on this year is amazing. We have an SHT Real Foodie Masterclass kicking off on January 12th. It's an 8-week progression. 5 meetings. Any of you that are used to the comprehensive SHT that we used to do a couple of years ago, this is focused only on food, and it's freaking amazing. Not only do we talk about, we have meetings every 2 weeks, and we start small and simple and easy, and we have goals. We educate you on what real food is, what's in, what's out, how to structure your daily eating, and then we go through different experiments. We focus on metabolic flexibility, we focus on low carb, we focus on a cleanse and how to test yourself, and fasting protocols, so that it's pretty comprehensive. And then we also discuss all the popular real food methodologies, to include paleo, primal, Weston A. Price, low carb, ketogenic, and vegan, so that you understand what works about those different methodologies and what we like about those methodologies. Now, something that's really cool about this masterclass is we're bringing in a lot of diligence to support the people that are in it. So we have a diligence calendar that everyone's going to have to help hold them accountable. We have a comprehensive guide, and then we have a separate journal, which is just a journal, so that you have all these different reminders for all these different daily activities that you need to do. We have a daily journal that's included in that journal. And then we have group leaders that are going to be assigned to a group of people that are going to maintain contact with you, to make sure that you have someone that you can ask questions to, and to remind you about meetings and things that we have coming up. And then, of course, as always, we have all these in-between workshops to include food prep and whole food shopping tour and superfoods, and I can't even remember what else we got in there. We got like a coffee and tea workshop and plant-based medicine workshops. There's all kinds of different things associated with it. So we have a calendar listed out with all that stuff. We have in-between challenges, in-between videos. We have local vendors to support us. And of course, we have all the love and support from our main office and our community, which is just absolutely amazing. So if you're looking to make a life change in the direction of nutrition, I don't think that there's a better way to do it, because we have it figured out, and we share it with you, and we give it to you in easy to implement simple goals. And there's 2 ways that you can sign up for that. You can just pay for the progression by itself, which is $196, or you can join our SHT membership, which is, I think it's $39 a month. And for $39 a month, which is about $400 plus a year, $440, $480 a year, $450 a year, something like that, You get everything that we offer throughout the year. So after this 8-week progression, we have a 4-week lifestyle progression that goes into meditation and sleep and minimalism and natural solutions for the home and being outdoors. And then we have all kinds of other workshops and activities throughout the year that's just going to be awesome and amazing. We have a detox program. We have some advanced experiments that we're going to be doing with some of our veterans, like the carnivore diet, a Mediterranean SHT, a detox program. So there's a lot of stuff included in it. So that's about all we got. All right. So we have goal setting stuff, PDF handouts, information on our upcoming SHT Real Foodie Masterclass. And yeah, hope this is useful. Let us know how it goes. Okay. We're here for you guys. Thanks.